Good evening and welcome to Imagebuildrs Presents, a conversation with Michael Carson. I'm your host, Michael Carson. Thank you for joining us in our weekly information and inspirational show produced for and by Black men. If you're watching us via Facebook, please share and like the broadcast. Invite people to come on and tune in with you. If you're watching by YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to our page and also click that bell so you'll know when our upcoming shows will take place. I want to send prayers out to two people tonight before we get started. One, to my best friend in Chicago, continued blessings on your recovery, and also to WSB TV news anchorwoman Javita Moore, who's having surgery tomorrow. We're just believing God for her healing and for successful surgery. And last but not least, I want to say happy Ramadan to all of those, all of my Muslim friends and those who are of the Muslim faith. So tonight we got another great show for you. Our guest tonight is a husband, a father. He's a former teacher, now a principal, and he's also a fashion designer, entrepreneur, and he's a photographer. I mean, he's doing everything. I don't know how he finds the time to do it, but he's also my nephew. So when you hear me say tonight, nephew, I really mean nephew. So please welcome to the set, my nephew, Turan Crockett. Let me get him on the screen. What's up, nephew?
What's happening? Happy to be here.
Good to have you on set tonight. I was excited that you accepted my invitation. I wasn't sure if you were going to say, "Nah, I'm good. I don't want to get on. I don't want to get on the show." But I believe in what you're doing. I believe in you as a person. I tried to get your twin on. For those of you that are watching, he's a twin. He has a twin brother who's also a principal, I believe. Romy's a principal too, right? Romy's a principal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I've been thinking the last few days. I've been thinking about our trip to Northern. I don't know if you recall that 6-hour trip to Northern we took, not to Northern, to Southern. And we did to sign some papers and then to turn back around. But how that was an opportunity for all of us to, for me, you, and Romy to bond in a way that we hadn't before. And I've just been watching you guys and appreciate what you guys have been doing. So I definitely want to have you on the show and definitely give you a shout out for doing the things that you're doing. So tell the audience who is Turan C. Crockett, and tell them who you are and what you're about.
Yeah. So Turan C. Crockett. I like to throw the C in there because my middle name is Cornell. So, and a lot of the the businesses and things like that, I use my middle name as my as a catchphrase to so people can kind of catch on to it. I think my Uncle Mike said it best that that I am a husband, a father, a principal. So I'm an educator. I have a fashion line, photography, and things like that. But I just want to circle back and acknowledge the hard work of people like my uncle. So I want to say that that there are more good Black men out here than bad. Yeah. So whatever, despite the narrative that's being thrown around here, that that people like myself or my brother or my cousins who are doing exceptional things, we wouldn't be in the place where we're at if it weren't for people like my Uncle Mike or my Uncle Tony or my dad. I do have a dad. I was raised by a father and a mother, and I think it's important for me to acknowledge the host, not for being a host, but for being just a great person to look up to, kind of follow after, things of that nature. I don't want to get too wrapped up in the emotions here, but it's important that you throw your flowers out there to the people that deserve them.
I appreciate that, and as I said, I'm proud of all my nieces and nephews. So I'm your uncle by marriage. I've been in the family for what, 30 years now. So it's almost like almost all of your life and your brothers and your cousins and them. So I appreciate all of the things you guys are doing and how you guys have grown to be great young men and doing the things that you need to do. So when did you decide that you wanted to become a teacher? Because if I recall, when you guys were young, I ain't never heard nobody talk about being a teacher. And then all of a sudden you guys went from being a teacher to a principal. So talk about that transition.
Yeah, so so it all started back in undergrad down at Northern. Of course, I wanted to be in business, and finance and things like that. And I wanted to make the big bucks. And then a great opportunity presented itself where I was able to pledge the greatest fraternity on earth, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated down at Northern. So I pledged spring 2003. But throughout that pledge process, we had to do a plethora of things, and one of those things were community service. So, and then that's what brought me into the education piece. So I was able to go into schools and provide like mentoring and tutoring to students. And one thing I realized that despite the color of the students, they all needed help, whether they were white, Black, Hispanic, Asian, it didn't matter. And that kind of provoked me to say, man, I want to be in education. At that time, when I was in undergrad, it was a little too late. I was already a senior, and I met with the counselor, and they just advised me to that I had too many credit hours to kind of change my my major at the time. So I went on and I graduated, and then I worked for Enterprise Rental Car for a couple years, but I always knew that I wanted to be in education. So an opportunity presented itself out in Maywood, Illinois, where I started off as a paraprofessional, which is a special education classroom assistant, as well as a substitute teacher. And with that, I didn't make a lot of money. So for anyone that says I'm in the game for the money or you're in the game for the money, that's not true. I think down at when I was in Maywood as a full-time paraprofessional, I made $17,000 a year during that time. So I stuck with that, and then an opportunity presented where Chicago State University provided the master's program for special education, and they bought the teachers to Maywood. So that was an added bonus. And just fast forward, I worked in Maywood for about three to 4 years, I believe. And then I transitioned to CPS, where I was a high school special education teacher at Tilden High School, which is one of the probably one of the most troubling high schools in the city of Chicago. I worked there for 5 years as a special education teacher. And then I transitioned to Morill for 1 year, which is the elementary school. And then, just go back. I had a meeting with my former principal, who is now the chief equity officer of CPS. And we had a close of the year meeting, and he told me in year 3, he said, Crockett, you probably got about 1 more year of teaching left in you. You got about 1 more year of teaching left in you. And then you're going to be out of the classroom. And of course, my response was, I'm a teacher, man. I'm always going to teach.
Right.
And then within a year later, I was out of the classroom.
Okay.
So, and then I did my resident teacher, which is just like an internship on the job internship for a year. And then I jumped right in, and where a lot of my colleagues were becoming assistant principals, I took the leap and I became a principal of elementary school on the west side, where I grew up at, still the west side at Howell Elementary School.
Yes. So how do you during this process as a young Black man trying to figure it out in this space where you found yourself intrigued by it and now you were thrust in it? How do you think you were perceived as a Black male teacher and now as a principal by the students and by the teaching community?
Yeah, so one thing is first and foremost, a Black male educator is almost like a dinosaur.
Yeah.
So it's almost like me walking outside and I see a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Okay.
So it's, you don't see a lot of them, but you may see them in the capacity of a gym teacher. You might see them as security, a custodian, things of that nature. So, and in my school didn't have a male principal or assistant principal for an extended period of time. So me walking in, you always have to find your way to throw off the perception that you're a disciplinarian, which you're not. And you have to display to the crowd, to the teachers, that you're an instructional leader of the school. And that's one thing that I had to do initially coming into the building, was to speak to instruction and not behavior. Students for me were always, it's always easy for me to build relationships with kids because I don't put myself up on a pedestal as if I'm better than them. And that goes with parents too as well. If a parent goes there with me, I go there with them. If a parent keeps it professional, I keep it professional. And I think that's where the respect comes in at, because even with kids, even with middle school kids, they have their issues. They have their issues and concerns. And even when they lash out or do things of that nature, we go back and forth, but it's not necessarily you're going to get suspended for what you did. It's more or less, I need you to acknowledge what you did, and we're going to move on, and we're going to have another a positive day tomorrow.
Right, because I know you know this more probably than anyone because you're in that environment. But one of my issues over the years always been to counter this narrative that Black kids can't be Black kids and they're not given the opportunity, especially in school. Because I know teachers are not parents, and they're supposed to take the time to teach the kids. But too many of our kids have gone from the whole school to prison pipeline thing, and it typically starts when they're in elementary school, and then they're kind of there's kind of an X on their back, and that follows them throughout. So your school is predominantly Black. What is it, like 96% predominantly Black? How do you deal with, how do you counter the narrative from people who don't understand your approach to, hey, this might just be another school that's really just warehousing kids, but really not promoting kids and not have children, as the best interest? How do you counter that narrative?
So, well, one, we counter that by building positive relationships. But also we counter that by getting the right people in the building.
Okay.
So, and that comes from teachers, that comes from your TAs and your custodians and your lunchroom staff. You got to have the right people in the right place. One thing I did was I initially, when I came in, I looked at what we had as a value inside. So what was the value add that we had in the building? And I could speak to one person who was a lunch porter in our building. And a lunch porter, she was making about $17,000 a year, serving lunch, full-time job with kids, but there was some value add with her. So she built positive relationships with families. She knew every child because every child had to see her for breakfast and lunch. So she had those positive relationships built up with the kids. So after year one, I promoted her to security. Security came a $25,000 pay.
Okay.
Right? Which I could have bought somebody in from outside on the street, but that just made my workload a lot less because my deal is, if I build you up, then all I have to do is come in and seal the deal. So you lead the work, and then I come in, and then I kind of finish it out. And yes, connected, somebody's chiming in. So I'll respond to some of the posts too as well, connecting with outside programs. But we wanted to make sure that we got the right programs in the building and the right people in front of our kids. Because, being in a Title I school, in a school where 90% of our students are low income students, we get a lot thrown at us from people wanting to come in because they have grants and they have to fulfill those grants. So they have to come in and they want to provide, resources to the Black kids that need the help. So we got to fill them out too as well, because if you're not there for the right reasons, then I don't need you in the building at all.
Right.
You just take enough space and time, and we don't
Right.
need that.
Right. So what is your proudest moment as a principal, and why?
Well, I mean, my proudest moment as a principal, well, I have so many proud moments, but I would say the year before I entered my my school, the school had about 30 to 35 suspensions in the school. And those suspensions range from about 2 to 5 days, right, per child. When the district's average suspension rate is about 1 day per child. So I will say after that first year, we dropped dramatically. We may have went from that 30 plus suspensions to about 2 or 3 suspensions in that year. And the suspensions were negated because we had to hear out our kids. We had to provide the space and the opportunity for our kids to kind of vent. One unique thing about our kids is from pre-K to 8th grade, they've experienced some traumatic event. And that traumatic event doesn't have to be a shooting or a stabbing. It can be an eviction. It can be living with your grandma. It can be dropped off with your uncle who falls asleep and, if something happens. It can be medical and things like that. So we had to carve out the time and the space. So we implemented morning SEL for our students and our teachers, as well as afternoon SEL before students left home. And then we saw students kind of opening up more. And, teachers taking more responsibility for the kids.
Excellent. One final question on as being an educator before we transition to RSL. So we're in this age of COVID. What is your advice to parents as a principal who might have kids who are learning on a computer versus being in the class, or they're in the class part-time, they're on the computer the other time? What is your advice? What are 2 or 3 things you would advise parents on during this time?
I'll advise parents to keep doing what they're doing. One thing the parents don't receive is acknowledgement for the hard work. And I point out, one day I went to a parent's house to assist them with laptops as well as devices to get on the internet. And I walked into a 2-bedroom apartment with 7 kids, as well as a mother and a grandmother. And the mother wanted to apologize to me because the house wasn't clean. But I told her it didn't have to be clean. You're doing a great job. Continue to do a great job. So that's one bit of advice, is not to beat yourself up because we know that there's some gaps here. We know that there's a digital divide, there's a technology divide, and it's unfortunate that COVID opened up the doors for 1 million laptops to somehow appear and 1 million hotspots to appear for low-income students to provide students with access. So the access has already been there, but it took COVID for the access to be provided. For parents, I'm not going to harp too much on involvement, because my school has a 96% attendance rate. Just because the parent doesn't show up to meetings or report card pickup day, they ensure that their parents come to school every day. So they make sure that their work is making sure the kids come to school. So I just wanted to their involvement is seen. That's my advice is, people may think you're not engaged, but we see that you're engaged. So continue to do that. And then lastly, just ask questions. If you don't know it, just ask questions and be open and responsive to support. I like to point out 3 things that my people don't mess with. Police, medical professionals, and education. Police, medical professionals, and education, because one of those 3 have always given them bad news at some point in time. So they're always a little timid to come in the school building. They're a little timid to, participate. But just if you need support, just let us know. We're going to support you as best as possible.
All right. So Road Scholar Lifestyle. So for any big and tall people watching this, it ain't for you yet. It ain't for you. I bought a bunch of I bought a bunch of merchandise and I had to give it to my son. It ain't for you yet. For what we used to call big boned it ain't for you.
Yeah.
So Road Scholar Lifestyle. I mean, you're on the gram, you're on Facebook, you posing, you probably got more shoes than you got space in your house. I won't even let Anitra opine on that. But so why the name? What is it about? What's the message and what are you trying to convey?
So when people hear Road Scholar, they automatically think like Ivy League or Oxford, Right. So initially it was me and a few of my friends. We started Road Scholar Lifestyle, and road is spelled road, not RHODE, but road, ROAD, because we feel like there's different avenues to becoming a scholar. Okay. And as much as we dislike, let's say, a drug dealer, that dude can count, that dude can weigh, that dude can do all types of things. And so they're a scholar in their field, and I'm not promoting that, but there's different avenues to becoming a scholar. So we just, we decided on Road Scholar Lifestyle. And over the years, we were really stagnant over the years. Weren't getting the sales, putting a lot of money in, and then my friends kind of like, I'm good, I'm done with it. Right. So then I took the reins, and since then I've been able to be a lot more creative. I've had people from the likes of Chris Paul wear the clothes, Candace Parker, who's in the WNBA, Benny the Butcher, who's a rapper from Buffalo, New York, Jason Goff, who's an NBA analyst, but also every other person, because I don't treat them any different. They all pay. Right. Everybody pays. Everybody pays. So that's the thing. It's just a positive brand. Right now I have on the shirt, it's unfortunate that this movie came out in 1989, which is Do the Right Thing. Right. And I specifically wore this today because we're living this right now. We're living 1989. We're living 1989 right now. Yep. And also with my brand, it's an affordable brand. It is. It is. I'm not charging you $50, $60. I'm not trying. My profit margins aren't high. Yeah. Because everything that I make, I put it right back in the business. So everything that I make, I just double down, and then I just get creative, and then I do other things with it.
So if I recall correctly, when you guys were coming up, I'm not sure if it was you or Romian who was all about Allen Iverson. You couldn't say nothing about Allen Iverson. You couldn't say nothing about the cornrows or nothing. It was all Allen Iverson, the way his swag, his style, or whatever. So how would you describe your style, and how has it evolved over the years from when you were, the young high school cat to now, as in the position and the roles that you're in now?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that my style is different. I'm not, and I go back and forth with my guys. I got some friends who are, and my cousin, Petey, who will try to call me out because my shorts are above my knees, or or the color of shirt that I wear. But my thing is, I'm not judging another man on what they wear or how they wear. That's not my lane. That's not my avenue. I'm comfortable within myself to wear what I wear and wear it how I wear it. So I will say that from a standpoint, I do have Chicago flavor. I got the West Side flavor. So, I'm, West Side is always going to be clean. And then I got like a Metro style too. So when I dress up, I don't wear baggy fit pants. I wear more taper pants, and if I get a sweater that's a little too big, I go to the tailor so the tailor can kind of make it specific for me, and things like that. So that's how I do it. In high school, I dressed like the 90s. I dressed like that. And right now I dress like my tax bracket, man. So that's how I have to dress. I can't dress like I'm making $17,000 no more.
So you just briefly mentioned about, you rep in Chicago. I mean, that's it, and all of your designs from the Chicago style hot dog on there to the Bulls and Jordan and so forth. So are there plans to go to rep other cities, or is it just always going to be strictly Chicago in everything that you do?
Yeah. So I mean, I've been, I have a couple graphic designers who've been working on some things with me. I'm not going to specifically highlight any other cities or things like that, because I don't want to take away from any other local brand and what they're doing. So anything that I do Chicago is just going to be strictly Chicago. But the funny thing is, the majority of my orders don't come from Chicago. They come from out of state. Right. So even when I do the Chicago flag or something like that, I've been getting a lot of like South Carolina, North Carolina, Texas, Florida, and things like that. So I think it's more of the appeal. Benny the Bull is an iconic mascot. So regardless of if he has a Chicago, jacket on or what, people are gonna buy it because it's Benny the Bull. But I do have some things coming down the pipeline, which is just a little bit more catered to, everyone else outside of Chicago.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question. What's down the pipeline? What do you got coming? What can people expect from the brand and the direction that you want to go in?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So by next week we have our spring sweatsuits coming out, which displays our new RoadScholarLifestyle logo on there. And shout out to Marcus, who designed that logo for me. We got the sweatsuits coming. We have the bucket hats coming. We have the corduroy dad hats coming. You can fit that hat now. So we have we have that coming. When you out playing golf and things like that, we have that coming. We have polos coming. I have like a 3-pack of white tees and black tees, and then multicolored tees, because one thing I realize is Polo charging $30 for 3 t-shirts. Yeah. I'm gonna price them out. I'm only gonna charge $14, and just so people can be able to get it. So just a lot coming.
So do you follow Cam Newton on social media? Yeah. So you know how he rolled, right? With the this, and then I don't know, what is it, the 3 things. And basically his thing is just being who you are, following your own rhythm, flowing to your own, your how you roll, and don't worry about how other people, view it. So being in this business, what have you learned about fashion as a creator that you didn't know, or that you were surprised to find out?
So first I was surprised to find out that most of your friends won't support.
Yeah.
They hear what you're going through. They know how much you've invested in your brand. And you may send them a picture or something. They may say, "Man, that's hot." But then when you check the data from the website, you don't see them as purchasing anything, and that spans over years. So one thing I realize is that you can't depend on your friends to ensure that your business will be successful. That's one thing that I learned from that. Are you frozen? I think you're frozen. Another thing, if you can hear me out there, but another thing that I noticed. Okay,
I'm back.
Yeah, we a little bit. Yeah. The first thing I just said is, just friends. You can't depend on friends to make sure that you're successful. Right. And the caveat to it is, my brand didn't start being successful until I stopped depending on my friends. So, so I ended up being successful, making a profit last year and this year, without having to depend on my friends. And second is, you're gonna have more misses than you have hits. So as creative as you are, as much as you pump out, some people are just not going to feel it, but then one may catch on and people may, gravitate towards it.
Right.
But, just just bounce back from your misses. I sell a lot of clothes, but there's a reason why I'm wearing this shirt. It's because I have these shirts. So
Right.
I have these shirts in my garage. So yeah.
So are you having your product made here in the U.S.? Are you getting it overseas somewhere? Or how are you doing?
So all of my products are here in the U.S. All of my graphic designer, my my DTG guy, my silk screen guy, they're all black. They're all African American. And though their prices are a little bit higher, I would rather give them the money than to outsource it and go to, Asia, where it's going to be $3 or $4 cheaper, but it's going to take a month to get here. When I can just drive down the street, drop it off, know who I'm dealing with. If there's some issues or concerns, I can always come back to that.
So do you see yourself opening up a brick and mortar store, or is it just, will it strictly just be, I mean, I know we're in COVID right now, but do you see yourself as just, an online, people can only get it online?
No, so I do see in the future a brick and mortar store. I get a little surprised at waking up to a different stream of revenue. And getting alerts saying you got paid,
Right.
via PayPal and things like that. And and people have been saying, man, you need to open up a store. So the first thing is I'll be doing a pop-up on Juneteenth at Acquired Taste, Chicago local. And then after that, there's a lot of vacant storefronts here because of COVID. So then I'll be looking to do like an extended pop-up. So a pop-up which will last about a week or two to kind of see how it goes. And then after that, then I'll sit down, crunch some numbers with my accountant downstairs. And then kind of see how it goes. I did tell her this. I told her that if I double the profit that I made last year, that I was gonna go back to the classroom to teach. That's what I told her.
Oh, okay.
And that's not far-fetched because it's not about the money. It's about me enjoying life. And so.
I hear that. I mean, and like I told my guest, your former, I don't know, it's a Kappa noob. I don't know what to say. I don't want somebody to come and all of a sudden tackle me. You ain't saying the right word.
I got the goons. I got the goons in the chat, man. Don't take it there.
So, but Brandon Todd, who was on a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about that. But I think it's what's encouraging, like I said earlier, is that what you're doing, what he's doing, what other young men are doing. I mean, you guys are still young. You're still, I don't know if you're still in the millennial class or not, but you guys are doing an exceptional job and how you represent us as Black men. So I want to give a shout out to you. I see Rashad's on here, another principal, another Black man who's doing this thing and raising this family. So we're just about out of time, but I want to ask you one final question, and then I want to give you an opportunity to just share what's on your heart to people who are interested in teaching or people who are interested in fashion, however you want to say it to whomever you want to say it to. But you are the father of twin girls. So, and you're a twin. So for men out there who just found out they're having twin girls or having twin, what is your advice? Because you don't have one wedding to plan for. You got two weddings to plan for. Absolutely. You don't have one shotgun date. You got two shotgun dates. Absolutely. So what do you tell fathers who are whether they have twin girls or they have multiple young ladies like your brother? What do you tell them? What's your advice to them?
So my advice is is to take time and spend time with your family. Spend time. I try my best to be a part of everything. And I always say, my dad didn't work this hard to miss all of these games and events for me to do the same thing. The cycle shouldn't repeat itself. And that's, and with you and with Uncle Tony and things like that, you all work with your bare hands,
Not me. They do. I don't.
I know, but
I ain't even gonna front. They know I ain't trying to. If you saw my house right now, nah, I ain't trying to lift nothing. I'm just trying. I'm trying to elevate my mind, not my hand.
Absolutely. and just one thing I realized this year is it's okay to leave work on time.
Yeah,
it's okay. Rashad is here, and we have candid conversations where I tell him, no educator should be in a school building till 7-8 o'clock. I don't care what's going on. The work is always going to be there.
Yep.
Go home, spend time with your family, embrace your kids, your loved ones, or just chill on the couch, play the game, but just go home. That's one thing I will tell parents. Make time for your kids. Time is important. My kids love to see me. So when they meet a man in their life, the man should be a reflection of their dad. So, right. And the way I treat them should be the way that they're treated, or we'll have some other issues too as well.
Excellent. Let me just close out with this. For those of you that have been listening and just joining us, you've been listening to another great conversations with Michael Carson. I'm here with my nephew, who's an educator, I'm already claiming he's a fashion icon, doing this thing. He's a great father, husband, and a leader in his community. We've had a great conversation tonight. We're about to hop off and go over to Instagram. So if you want to finish the conversation with us over on Instagram, just follow me, Michael Carson Jr. on Instagram Live. But the last voice you'll hear before we sign off will be Turan's. But one final thing that I want to leave you with, if you want to sponsor the show, we got some exciting things coming up. If you want to sponsor the show, feel free to reach out to me. The information will be on the email, how you can reach me, personally. But I thank you for tuning in tonight. And the last words you'll hear tonight is from my nephew, Turan Crockett.
Yep. So once again, thanks for having me, Uncle Mike. I am honored and flattered to be here today, this evening. But also to anyone that's trying to get into education, just get in it for your heart. The money is going to be there. The money will be there. Have some work-life balance. Be able to do things that you enjoy. I enjoy photography. I enjoy fashion. I enjoy sneakers. So I'm not going to work too hard. I'm not going to outwork myself. See, I'm in a brace right now because I put others before myself. And that's not going to happen again. So just make sure that you take care of your mind, your body, utilize your benefits, utilize your sick days, utilize your paid time off, enjoy your family. As you can see, I got 2 little restless kids outside the door. They want some attention. But yeah, just enjoy life, man. That's it.
All right, good people. Thank you guys for tuning in. Continue blessings, and we'll see you next week. Tune in next week. Thank you so much.